So before we start this session, are you all ready? I can see you all are in less in number, but still, are you guys ready? Ready for the session? Yes? No? Come on. I want everybody to answer me. Okay, before we start, a little bit of warm up. So यहाँ पर सब एक दूसरे को जानते हैं? नहीं? So थोड़ा जान पहचान बढ़ा लेते हैं. I want you all to stand up. Come on, just for a minute. I want you all, everybody to stand up. And थोड़ा सा हाथ मिला लीजिए. Come on. It's time for a shake hand and a very friendly hug. क्योंकि सब एक दूसरे को नहीं जानते हैं. So let's introduce ourselves to everybody. Come on, अच्छे से, थोड़ा smile के साथ. सबको एक दूसरे के साथ इंट्रोड्यूस करना है. सर आप तीनों भी सबके साथ इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं खुद को. देखिए बिजनेस बढ़ाने आए हैं, बिजनेस के बारे में जानकारी लेने आए हैं. सो इट इज़ अ टीम वर्क. सो प्लीज़ एक दूसरे को गले मिलिए, हाय हेलो कीजिए, तब जाकर और ज़्यादा इस सेशन में मज़ा आएगा. सब एक दूसरे के बहुत काम आने वाले हैं इन फ्यूचर. लवली लवली लवली. सो इसी से बिजनेस बढ़ता है. बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है. ऐसे ही हर एक को साथ जुड़ने से ही जो है बिजनेस की शुरुआत होती है एंड बिजनेस बहुत आगे तक जाता है. सो वंस अगेन दिस इज योर होस्ट वेलकमिंग एवरीबॉडी, ऑल द गेस्ट गैदर्ड हियर. सो हम लोग आज वी हैव वेरी रेप्यूटेड स्पीकर्स जो आज हमें बहुत एनलाइटन करने वाले हैं आप सबके ही फेवरेट टॉपिक्स पर. सो आई रिक्वेस्ट यू ऑल टू प्लीज बी सीटेड. And yes, before we start, एक बार जोरदार तालियां तो बनती है. Come on. Lovely, lovely. Thank you so very much. So, first of all, I would request our speakers, our dignitaries, to please join us on stage. I request Manohar Bhojwani sir to please join us on stage. एक बार जोरदार तालियां चाहूंगी. I also request Dr. Pranesh Sridharan sir to please join us on stage. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए. Our speaker, we welcome you sir. It's an honor having you here. I also request the very beautiful Dr. Sneha Singh, Acting Managing Director, the Good Food Institute India, to please join us on stage. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए for our next speaker. We welcome you ma'am. And I also request one more gorgeous lady, Miss Divya Saravana, the Good Food Institute, to please join us on stage. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए. एंड कहते हैं कि जैसे दीप के जलने से चारों तरफ उजाला ही उजाला होता है, हम सबके लाइफ में भी, हम सबके बिजनेस में भी ऐसे ही उजाला रहे और हम लोग बहुत तरक्की करें. इसी के साथ साथ आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल आवर ऑनरेबल डिग्निटरीज ऑन स्टेज कि लैम्प लाइटिंग के साथ प्लीज इस सेशन की शुरुआत की जाए. I request Mr. Santosh Agrawal ji, the most senior in Pulses. Sir, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है and we want you to please join us on dais. एक बार जोरदार ताली हो जाए sir के लिए. I also request Mr. Umate ji to please join us on stage. So please. Once again, I welcome all the dignitaries on stage. And now I request you all to please, let's proceed with the lamp lighting. Manohar sir will lead the team. So please. Sabhi ko aana hai, please. वैसे तो कहते हैं कि कड़ी कड़ी से जोड़ते जाओ तो जंजीर बन जाती है, और मेहनत पे मेहनत करते जाओ तो तकदीर बन जाती है। सो यहाँ पर हम सब लोग अपनी तकदीर बनाने ही आए हैं, और उसको हमारे बिजनेस को और अच्छे से जानने आए हैं, ताकि और कैसे उसको बहुत अच्छे से कर सके। सो दीप प्रज्वलन के साथ साथ यहाँ पर आए हमारे जितने भी गेस्ट हैं, वंस अगेन आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल आवर ऑनरेबल डिग्निटरीज टू प्लीज सेटल डाउन। And now I would request Manohar sir to present a memento and sapling to Dr. Pranesh Sridharanji, our APIC, Alternative Proteins Innovative Center. I request everybody, ek baar zordar taaliyan, a very big thunderous round of applause for our first speaker, Dr. Pranesh Sridharanji. We welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. I request you to please be seated. I also request one more time Manohar Bhojwani sir to present a memento and sapling to our speaker, Dr. Sneha Singh, Acting Managing Director, the Good Food Institute, India. We welcome you, ma'am. A very big thunderous round of applause. Come on, everybody. So one more time, मैं आपको उठाना चाहूँगी to present one. Okay. I request Agrawal sir to present a memento and sapling to our speaker, Ms. Divya Saravana, the Good Food Institute. We welcome you, ma'am. I request Umate sir to present a memento and sapling. Rajesh Patil sir to present a memento and sapling to Ms. Divya Saravana. एक बार जोरदार ताली हो जाए for our speaker, Ms. Divya Saravana. Thank you so very much. So to address the welcome speech, I request Manohar Bhojwani sir to please join me here. And I request everybody, एक बार जोरदार तालियों के साथ, let's welcome Manohar sir.
जय विदर्भा। गडकरी साहब का नारा है जय विदर्भा। तो ये शुरुआत एक बहुत अच्छी तरीके से हुई है। भले ही ये औद्योगिक एडवांटेज विदर्भा पहली बार नागपुर का एक बहुत ज़बरदस्त प्लेटफॉर्म बन रहा है, मगर इस प्लेटफॉर्म के अंतर्गत इतने नए इनोवेशंस आगे होने की संभावना है जिसकी हम कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते। शुरुआत में जब पहली मीटिंग में गडकरी साहब ने कहा, सभी सेक्टर्स के कन्वेनर को बुलाया, एग्रो प्रोसेसिंग में उन्होंने मुझे बुलाया कि भाई ये दाल के सेक्टर में बहुत पहले से काम कर रहे हैं और इसमें क्या अच्छा हो सकता है। तो करीबन 10 साल पहले हमने दाल क्लस्टर की एक ये चालू किया था, और वो चालू करने के पीछे भी गडकरी साहब का पूरा सहयोग था। तो आगे उन्होंने पूछा कि ये दाल में आगे करोगे क्या। बोला गडकरी साहब इसमें बहुत बड़ा भविष्य छुपा हुआ है। दाल के अंदर बहुत बड़ा भविष्य छुपा हुआ है। बोले क्या है? मतलब इसमें से प्रोटीन एक्सट्रैक्शन होगा, इसमें से ऑल्टरनेटिव मीट बनेगा, इसमें से कॉन्सेंट्रेट बनेंगे, इसमें से बहुत सारी चीज़ें बनेंगी। तो बोला होगा कैसे ये? मतलब सर ये इस पर स्टडी चालू है और जीएफआई इंडिया से हम लोग एमओयू करने वाले हैं जो स्मार्ट प्रोटीन पे बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। तो मेरा पहले जो डॉक्टर श्वेता सिंह और डॉक्टर वरुण थे, वरुण से पहले मेरी चर्चा होती थी। उसके बाद में जीएफ इंडिया ने बहुत अच्छे काम किए और उन्होंने आई थिंक दुबई में भी एक प्रेजेंटेशन दिया था COP28 में। तो रीज़न क्या है? ये इकोलॉजिकल चेंजेस हो रहे हैं, क्यों हो रहे हैं? ये ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है? तो ये सब कारणों का ये है कि हम लोग को जो फर्टिलाइजेशन सिस्टम है, हमारी जो खेती है, उसका प्रोसीजर ही गलत हो रहा है। हमें दालें अगर उगाएंगे तो बहुत सारा इफेक्ट होता है। तो मैं सबसे पहले स्वागत करूंगा डॉक्टर प्रणेश जी का, जिन्होंने स्वीकार किया यहाँ आना और अपने बिजी शेड्यूल से नागपुर आए और यहाँ पे अपने इम्पॉर्टेंट पूरा अपना डिटेल बताएंगे कि कैसे हम दालों से प्रोटीन निकाल सकते हैं और कैसे काम कर सकते हैं। वैसे ही डॉक्टर श्वेता और दिव्या ये जीएफआई इंडिया से हैं जो स्मार्ट प्रोटीन पे काम कर रहे हैं और इनका जो आउटलुक है ये पूरा टोटल सपोर्ट करते हैं। यानी आपको प्रॉपर एजेंसी से जोड़ना, बायर से जोड़ना और कहाँ कौन कौन सी टेक्निकल इंस्टीट्यूट है उनसे जोड़ना, सभी तरह का काम वो करते हैं। और काफ़ी सारे स्टार्टअप उन लोगों ने चालू कर दिए हैं। काफ़ी इस समय जो समय की ज़रूरत है अपने देश में, खासकर भारत में, हम लोग प्रोटीन डेफिशिएंट है। सबका प्रोटीन कम है और सब वेजिटेरियन है। तो आपको अपने को ये प्रोटीन मिलेगा कहाँ से? तो आप ऑल्टरनेटिव मीट में जाएंगे जिसमें वेज मीट है, उसमें प्रोटीन नॉर्मल मीट से ज़्यादा है। तो उसकी टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, कैसे प्रोटीन आइसोलेट होगा, कैसे प्रोटीन कॉन्सेंट्रेट होगा, इस पर पूरी परिचर्चा इस पर होगी, डिटेल में होगी। जीएफआई इंडिया वाले करेंगे, एपीआईसी से डॉक्टर श्रीधरन करेंगे। तो ये पूरा परिचर्चा में सभी लोग इसका लाभ लें और यहाँ पे हम पूरा एक रिवॉल्यूशन लाएं। दाल इंडस्ट्री के अंदर काफ़ी 50 साल से काम कर रहे, मगर वैल्यू एडिशन में कोई नहीं है। तो ये समय है अब ये वैल्यू एडिशन में आने का। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सो वेरी मच सर। सो अब मैं बुलाना चाहूँगी हमारे बीच हमारे फर्स्ट स्पीकर को, डॉक्टर प्राणेश श्रीधरन सर, APIC, टू टेल अस मोर अबाउट द वैल्यू एडिशन इन पल्सेस वैल्यू चेन। आई रिक्वेस्ट यू ऑल एक बार जोरदार तालियों के साथ लेट्स वेलकम आवर फर्स्ट स्पीकर। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच।
ये वाला है। Good afternoon, everybody. Namaste, Jai Vidarbha, and yes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
in the ecosystem achieve this. We are at the end of the presentation, but this is how GFI India usually comes together to help different partnerships. We execute partnerships, we provide consumer market insights and industry updates. A lot of the data that you saw today were studies that GFI India has independently taken, or we've gathered from secondary research so that we can publish it and bring it to wider audiences every day. A lot of advisory and support. We offer resources that anybody can read, go through, and then come with questions so we can clarify those. Anything we can do to provide supply chain infrastructure support. We have an ecosystem database on our website, which is open access, available to everybody. Anybody can go on our website, take a look. If you're looking for an ingredient supplier, if you're looking for a researcher, you can find who you want to work with on there. All of our data is open access. And the last is regulatory support. We all know that food, when it needs to get to the consumer, needs to be safe. And that's a huge part of the regulatory mechanism. We have in-house regulatory specialists who are available. We also have a regulatory advisory council who are legal experts who we can refer you to should you require any regulatory support when you are thinking about entering this sector. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you for being a very patient audience. And I hope you go away being more inspired about this sector today.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Sneha and Divya. Thank you so much. And yeah. We'll begin with the panel discussion. But before that, there will be a memorandum of understanding between between Nagpur Dal Millers Clusters Private Limited and GFI. I request Sneha and Divya to please join us on stage. And we have Manohar sir on stage. Thank you so very much. And there will be one more memorandum of understanding between Diet Food International and APIC. I request Dr. Pranesh to please join us on stage. Thank you, Manohar sir. I request Dr. Pranesh to please stay back. And I also request our two speakers to please join us, Dr. Sneha and Divya. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are open for the panel discussion. So, any questions? Yeah, one by one, they'll be answered. Pass on the mic, please.
हेलो मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था और बहुत सिंपल है और इकोनॉमिक है। मनोहर जी भी यहाँ जो बैठे हैं, वैल्यू एडिशन की जो बात हो रही है और वैल्यू एडिशन के बारे में अपन जो सोचते करते चाहते और बताते हाइलाइट्स करते, मुझे ये पूछना था कि अगर 10 किलो तुअर की दाल मुझे 100 रुपये के हिसाब से 1000 रुपये देती है तो वैल्यू एडिशन में कितना पैसा मुझे मिलेगा, जिसकी वजह से मैं मेरे फार्मर को मैं बता सकूं कि भैया तू कल्टीवेट और ज़्यादा कर, 2 पैसा तेरे को ज़्यादा मिलेगा।
देखिए, हाँ, देखिए ये एकदम बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है आपने। यही क्वेश्चन मैंने डॉक्टर साहब का पूछा था, मैं जब उनसे डिस्कशन कर रहा था कि भाई आप बोल रहे हो वैल्यू एडिशन है, मगर पूरा यील्ड आउटपुट आप हमको निकाल के बताओ कि मैंने उसमें 100 किलो तुअर डाला तो मेरे को कितना प्रोटीन मिलेगा, कितना फाइबर मिलेगा, कितना उसमें स्टार्च मिलेगा और हमको इसका वैल्यू क्या मिलेगा। तो इसके डिटेल्स हमारे पास में जल्दी आने वाले हैं। फिर भी मीन टाइम डॉक्टर प्रणेश इसका जवाब देंगे आपको।
एक्चुअली आई थिंक मुझे लग रहा है कि मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन ठीक से नहीं किया अभी, क्योंकि मेरा जो लास्ट 2 स्लाइड थे इसी को आंसर कर रहे थे। अगर आप मैं एक 10 किलो का वैल्यू लगा रहा हूँ, बाई चांस आगे पीछे होगा, तो 450 रुपये अगर आप लगा रहे हैं, ठीक है, 10 किलो नहीं 5 किलो का वैल्यू लगाया था मैंने, 450 रुपये आप अगर लगा रहे हैं इसमें, तो 1400 रुपये का आपको वैल्यू मिलेगा। मैं आपका आंसर किया कि पता नहीं। अगर आपका इनपुट कॉस्ट 450 रुपये है, आपका रियलाइजेशन 1400 रुपये है, 68% ग्रॉस मार्जिन, मतलब आप 100 रुपये खर्चा कर रहे हैं, या आप समझे 200 रुपये आपका इनकम आ रहा है, उसमें से आपका 70% करीब आपका ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट है। उसके बाद थोड़े खर्चे होंगे, बट आपका नेट कहीं से भी कम 40% से कम नहीं हो सकता इसमें। मतलब 1000 रुपये का सेल करेंगे तो आपका 700 रुपये हाथ में आएगा।
Okay, my question still remains the same. First of all, thank you to Dr. Pranesh, Ms. Neha and Divya for such a engaging session. So my question is that do we have any government subsidies or any kind of incubation to start a processing unit like this?
So in term, yeah, you can hear me? Yeah.
Volume.
Okay, thanks. So in terms of there's different subsidies, so a lot of GFI India's work is to gauge what the interest of these, what the potential of these kind of sectors is in terms of for pulses, and then work with state governments, policymakers to ensure that there is more that you can avail in terms of subsidies. If you look at, I'll give you an example of research. So the Atal Incubation Center, just yesterday, has launched a call for incubating from a research perspective, not from a processing perspective, but specifically on alternative protein. And on there, if you look at the ad that they've put out, it specifies that it's for alternative proteins. So when research starts to happen more and more in this sector, we're very confident that for government subsidies as well, there will be more. I don't have the exact subsidies at the top of my head right now, but if you want to write to us as well and ask us, we can give you specific schemes that they are, and we don't have our policy people here, but they will be able to also help you with schemes that are there. We also release this kind of information. If you follow us on LinkedIn, it's the Good Food Institute India. Every time that there's a new scheme or something that benefits this sector which is released, either from the government or a scientific government agency or something even from the industry side of things, we publish it on our LinkedIn and we put it out to our community members. We have a very active community. We put it out to them through our newsletter, through our LinkedIn channel, so that you are able to apply to it as well.
There are subsidies from Ministry of Food Processing, and they provide this subsidy for the processing unit you start. Then innovation subsidy is also there. Again, there is a incubation center subsidy is also there. So that you can aware by any professional CA. Actually, my brother's son is CA. So he is working on this Ministry of Food Processing subsidies. So there are subsidies and a good quantum of subsidy.
Yeah, firstly, thank you for the session. It was really informative.
Introduce yourself.
I am Prakhar, and I'm currently at Ashoka University. We have a family business here in Pulses, looking to expand. And also, I'm a VC at Campus Fund. We invest in student and startups up to 8 CR per startup. But I wanted to ask, I agree to your growth story regarding the potential of alternate meats in the West and the alternate meat and alternate dairy, the alternate eggs which you're talking about. With respect to India, I feel the growth story is a bit different with alternate protein. The entire growth story for exports is good, but for Indian market, I feel it's the snacking protein which is replacing the protein demands. So like the 200 crore alternate meat demand you forecasted, contrasted with the max protein turnover, that's $12.5 million, which is 100 crores, right? So I feel the snacking economy in the India is what is being replaced by the protein. So what are your thoughts on the same, and what is your research going on in the same thing?
Sure, I'll say a little bit, then I'll hand it over to you, Divya. So you're right. I think immediately right now, it is the snacking segment. And it's two reasons why, right? It's what I spoke about in terms of biomimicking. A lot of the products out there are trying, but there is sometimes still a little bit of a taste parity. That's where food innovation and food research comes in. So there is a lot that's being done to make the products better. It's almost like a version 1, version 2, version 3. So there is a journey that those products will need to undertake to become better. And also there's a price parity issue. So there is also the conventional meat and the plant-based alternatives, whether it comes to meat or dairy. The price parity is not there yet. So the extracts when it comes to protein isolates are therefore being plugged into, as you rightly saw, the snacking segment right now. The envisioning that I have is that in due course, the market, just like anything else, will slowly climb. But you're right also in some way that the domestic demand, we can never compare it to the West, because even if you compare the conventional meat eating habits of the West, they are higher than India. So how will the plant-based meat be anywhere close to that? But even so, the fact that there's a high vegetarian population in India, and if they want to try it, once the price parity and the taste parity reaches a better level than what it is at currently, there's a huge new market of flexitarians that opens up. So I think there's a journey there, but I'll let Divya also add to that.
Thanks, Sneha. So, like Sneha said, there's a few different things that are, actually lots of different things that go on in India, right? It's very divided in terms of its regionality, its cuisine, its geography, its population. While on one side, we see a population with rising disposable income, a lot of people falling into the middle, higher middle class groups that have that income to try, experiment, want better products. So those that want to try things that are more newer than a soya chunk, which is where some of these products come in. On the other side, we have the predominant vegetarian population that is looking for protein intake. Again, one analogy that we use is people might rather prefer to eat, you know, something like a plant-based meat kebab, if it works for their taste palette, than 2-3 cups of dal. So these are some innovative areas where plant-based products can come in. So we have a variety of positioning that we can take. As a non-vegetarian, plant-based alternative for non-vegetarians, that's very much replicating the taste and sensory application. There's also a middle ground where maybe it's not replicating to that extent, but it's providing protein, it's providing a new innovative option. So customers are never going to stop shying away from the choice mix. The more there is, the more they'll buy.
Got it, got it. And so when you talked about a 70% gross margin, say for instance for the alternate plant-based meat, is that true for the alternate plant-based or protein-based snacking market as well, like the Max Protein bar or the chips? What are the margins out there? Because I see that market to be at a very high CAGR as compared to this market, especially in India.
Excellent question, actually. So largely depends on what ingredient they are using currently, and depends on what segment you are looking at. Currently, if I am right, the plant-based dairy is having very high margins compared to the plant-based meat. Plant-based egg is having good margins compared to plant-based meat as well. Plant-based meat is at the lower end of the margin spectrum, but I think it will also catch up very soon.
Got it. Maybe we can talk about that later also, and we can research together. The last thing I wanted to ask, so like for example, what is the current moat or current defensibility that startups would see in this space? Because this space is becoming more and more fragmented with more and more players entering. So if tomorrow we have to go in, or if I see from a VC perspective, I have to invest in a startup, what is that moat or defensibility tool that startups need to have from day one to make it and have a positioning in the market, right? Otherwise, you will become like a 1% of the market share. So to become from that 1% to a 50% market share, what is that defensibility tool you envision in this industry?
We'd say price.
So
Price
all
point
about
is your
price
main.
cutting.
Yes. Taste and price, but I think price still, for a 50%, price is still going to be your first touch point. So a very good example is Good Dot's Pro Chap. They've been doing really well because they've started cracking the price point for the mass market. And it's not, there is a differentiation between their points, that, between their products that are plant-based meat alternatives and a Pro Chap. So they've got a more diversified portfolio, and that's a good, I think that's a good strategy to take when you're first starting in this space.
Got it. Thank you so much for the insights. I'll get in touch because I'm really interested in this space and we can work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi, my name is Abhimanyu. I'm a mechanical engineer by profession based in the US and with a keen interest in the food industry. So firstly, great presentation everyone. It was very informative and we learned a lot about the plant protein industry. What I missed in the presentation and would like to understand from you guys is what are the top 3 challenges you guys have come across which would be sort of entry barriers into this industry. So yeah, let's start with that.
Can you clarify entry barriers from a talent perspective if you were looking to
In
work?
general, like is it more related to technology? If you're saying that the price of plant protein is 2 to 3 times of traditional forms of protein, is that the entry barrier, say from the consumer mindset or for a business owner who wants to start or get into the plant protein industry? What are the challenges that one may come across?
Yeah, there's a few actually, and it's things that you've touched upon already. There is definitely, so I usually use this example that if you are trying to become more sustainable or find more different options of eating, it's not the same as changing your car from a diesel car to an EV. That's very external. Food is very internal. It's a cultural experience. So when people are changing what they eat, they are thinking far more. The decisions are also very primal. It's something you grew up eating, so you don't want to give it up. It's something that your mother used to make a certain way, so you don't want to change. And something comes in between. So there is consumer barrier, whether it's from an understanding perspective or whether it's taste, cultural resonance perspective. That's one of the challenges that I think a lot of, and India actually is better positioned to solve for that because we use a lot of different preparations, whether it's marinades, whether it's curries. Our food is flavorful. So actually you can still eat plant-based meats and they can still taste nice because it depends on how you cook them. So that's definitely there. There's ways around it. Consumer, definitely, there's a little bit of barrier there which we are seeing is changing. There's
What
also the
about-
price.
What
barrier.
about the business side, like a business owner, what would be the challenges for him if he wants to get into this industry?
Do you want to take that?
Again, it depends on 2 sides of the business, right? One is the ingredient side and one is the finished product side. So in the ingredient side, it is about the capital expenditure, initial capital expenditure, and then of course your technology, right? The process technology, which is not so easy. Otherwise, there would have been so many companies doing it already, right? It's such a huge dull industry here. We don't have many processes. So the technology is a challenge, and getting the technology right is very important because you need a consistently good product to go into the market. Only if you have a consistently good product, then the end product company can use it to get a consistently good product, end product. So one batch of, for example, a chicken kebab made with alternative protein, tasting different from another batch can be very devastating for a consumer product company. So you need to have a very consistent ingredient output, which is again process challenge, technology. And for the consumer product, I think it is a significant amount of, again, is huge R&D cost in terms of development, product development currently. Other than the market challenges, what Sneha has mentioned, the initial R&D cost in terms of developing the products is and marketing, that's where the initial costs are.
Is there a way we can reduce the price of plant-based protein and get it more closer to the traditional forms?
Yeah, so there are 2 things to this, right? One, which segment you're talking about? So for example, if you're looking at the supplement segment, right? You are comparing with whey, which is around 1,500 rupees per kg. And here we are talking anywhere between 500 to 1,000 rupees per kg. So if you are comparing with whey, we are already much lesser. But what happens is people start comparing with soya. And soya is around 350 something, right? So there here you are about 150 or 200 or 300 or 400 rupees more. And there depends on the consumer preference that what is the health benefit they are looking at. Because soya has its own challenges also. Now coming to the other core question, whether cost can be brought on, yes. Lot of thing also depends on the indigenization of the technology. Today, lot of the machines are either from Europe or partly from US. And if we are able to make the same machines in India, or similar machines, then your cost of capex goes down significantly, then your cost comes down. Second, we need to be very innovative. If you are trying to copy the West, it's going to be challenging. I told you, if you are trying to make chickpea protein from Kabuli channa, your cost is going to be 2 times that of making chickpea protein from Desi channa. Automatically, you are becoming very competitive. Now, in Desi channa itself, there could be various sources. Like, for example, you use the bits, use the waste, right? Not waste, but then the bits or those kind of things, then your cost comes down significantly even more. And I've been researching this. For example, there are various sources, like in pea, there is a particular source where the cost is very, very less. So you need to be, innovative in how you approach this, than looking at from a Western perspective. India has a huge opportunity to innovate in this way.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that. In terms of innovation, there is only now that, and we, as I said, like JFI India works with academic institutes as well. We're only now seeing different academic institutions which are focused on food technology, biotechnology, bioprocessing, now understand that, all right, we can plug into food as one of the, in terms of this sector. So as the awareness on the research and innovation side, on the academic research side also goes up, we've seen more grants from the Department of Science and Technology, from the Department of Biotechnology are being put out for this area of research. So it goes hand in hand, the innovation and research aspect goes hand in hand with how this grows. There's also the equipment piece that you mentioned, that if we were able to make better equipment that is low cost, so that we are not having to bring equipment in from overseas, and we have the capacity to do that. We've got manufacturing plants of scale for lots of things. Biggest vaccines provider, we saw it in COVID, we did it. So why not the ability to have low cost equipment for these kind of processes as well?
In fact, you mentioned you are a mechanical engineer, right? Or sorry. So in fact, there's the biggest opportunities in that. Because this whole industry is dependent on mechanical engineers to innovate, to give us the best machines to get the protein separation. It's all about mechanical. The whole industry is about mechanical, right from the time we start the grinding of the pulses till the final extrusion. It's all mechanical machines, and that is where the innovation, the value addition is. In case you as a person who is interested in the industry, if you can take the initiative to make those machines in India, then you have a gold mine actually.
I'm telling you one very good example. We are into this pulses manufacturing from 1947. How much time? 1947. But till time we have not done anything else in value addition. But by studying and by touching and by connecting with GFI, we came to know that we can innovate something else out of pulses. And say about 2.5 years back, I was in touch with GFI, and then I was studying all these things because our process machine is coming from Buller, UK. I have made plant because I am exporting these pulses from last 25 years. Pulses from Vidarbha, all exported to entire globe. And all machines, I made one machine absolutely fully automatic, and that is in Mihan SEZ. And that was costing at that time 25 crores. And when I compared this machine with Indian machine, that is around 6 to 7 crore. See, so that kind of innovation is required, that we should match the machineries, technologies like UK, Europe, in India. That is the thing needed from you. That is the need of our. Because when I study about, then I contacted Buller, I contacted GA. Then I got their quotation regarding this protein, this thing, wet protein isolates and things. They given me quotation of 350 crores. 350 crores. And from Buller, it was 400 crore. So I collapsed at that moment. Because this much of investment from a MSME, we cannot do. Who cannot do? Then I thought about it. Then I met with few people. They guided me that, why you are going there? We can do this thing in a very substantial, low margin, low cost, and Indian machines. Some machines will be imported, but other machines will be Indian. And with the combination of that, we can do a economy-based machine for protein isolates. Then I met with Dr. Saab, Dr. Sridharan. Sridharan sir, at that moment, this Advantage Vidarbha was just, we were taking the meetings. So then I got the point that this is the platform where we can invite Dr. Sridharan here, GFI here, and we discuss all these things in details and get a perfect idea about protein isolates from our Vidarbha dals.
One small point, I know we are out of time. With a closing point, now we can make protein concentrate and isolate without a single imported machine. With all indigenous machines, we can do it. And you don't need to even think of like 300 crores, 150. I know the last protein plant in India was put at around 150 crores, okay, which was soya. We can still do the whole thing at around 15 crores, very viably, okay, with 100% indigenous machines, with a very good consistent quality of protein. That is possible, and that's what we are, trying to promote, that we give the process, technology, everything.
Thank you so much. I think we are out of time, and I think if we were able to get ourselves on the moon for a quarter of the cost, I think we can build a protein-related machine. I think we can do it.
So we have started with the MOU of our Diet Food International, which is the pulses processing latest technology machine in Mehan SEZ with Dr. Sridharan, APIC. This is the initiative. Right now we will start working on that. So thank you very much.
Once again, I'd like to thank all our speakers. And thank you, Manohar sir. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining our session. Thank you.